are we? How are we? Hello everyone, welcome back to another Deadline stream. It is game week 29, the big blank game week. I feel like that is really zoomed in. Oh well. It is game week 29, the blank game week, the first real blank game week of the season. Of course, we had a small one earlier with a bit of fixture postponement, but we are back. It is the big one. I've confirmed my transfers. Before we get into all of that, let's say hello to some of you in the chat. Say hello, say hello. We will do hellos first, and then we will get into everything that we need to. We're a little bit early today, make up for all the times that I've been a few minutes late. So I was sat doing my team, sat setting up the stream and was like, I'm a bit early. I'm just going to go live because I know there's going to be a lot of questions to answer. So good morning to you all. Hello to Nikolai. Hello to Shantanu. Hello to Jude. Hello to Damilola. Hello to Emmanuel. Hello to Fiona. Hello to Kirkham. Good morning to all the members and moderators in this morning. Thank you all very much for your support. Hello to everyone else. Connor, Wesley, Mustafa, Jimbo, Andy T, Summit, Mike, Goric, FPL Echo, Shane, Avinch, Iman, Mr. Was Up, Leo, Suarez, Bob, Hamoud, Paul, Craig, Brad, Mihir, Tyler, McQueech, Robert, Luke, Matty, Adam, Andrew, Red, Abhishek, Greg, Rohan, Connor, Mr. B, Raya Sanchez, CJ, Tom, Jay, Ben, Mick, Wesley, Mickey, the real one. Hello from Mauritius. Very lucky. Very nice. Not jealous at all. Stanik, Chanda, Narigo, Jay, Richard, Julian, and everyone else. Hello, hello. So, let me just... So for anyone who didn't see, I confirmed my transfers last night. These were my 3 moves. I sold Watkins, I sold Evan Nilsson. Oh, I sold Watkins, I bought Evan Nilsson. I sold Isak, I bought Haaland, and I sold Trent, and I bought Williams. There were a few things that made me decide to do this over the selling of Cole Palmer route. So although the Cole Palmer route is maybe the more sensible one and a route a lot of people would go down, it was all 4 of my free transfers apart from using only 3, which is what this did. So the benefit to using 3 is, although I've sold Isak, it makes it easier for me to buy Isak back because I've only used the 3 of the 4 transfers. So effectively, I can use the additional transfer that I didn't use this week in selling Palmer to buy Isak back if I want to, going into the double. Now, I might still play the wildcard in game week 31, in which case these transfers are then absolutely fine, because if I knew I was going to wildcard in game week 31, I would do something like this. Now, the other thing to note is these transfers left me 0.8 million in the bank. Over Williams, I would have preferred Kirkes, who I could afford. I would have preferred Milenkovic, who I could afford. But 0.8 is the price of a lot of the assistant managers that I think I might use in both game week 30 or in game week 31. So Unai Emery and Glasner are both 0.8 million. So the reason I went with Williams over those is if I decide to play the assistant manager without making another transfer, I now have the money to do it. Whereas if I went with Kirkes, I'd then be forced to make another transfer if I wanted to free up the money to buy... if I wanted to do the assistant manager. I'm not saying I'm definitely going to play the assistant manager, but it's something I am considering. If I just get the Premier League table up, I will show you. If Brighton win today, we might have an incredible opportunity of table bonus in game week 30. If Brighton win today, they will go to 5th. How did I work this out? Villa don't play. If Brighton win, they'll go above Newcastle and City, so they'll go to 5th. And then there'll be... Maybe it's not possible. But basically, it is possible that Villa versus Brighton in game week 30 has table bonus. And then they play Nottingham Forest in game week 31. So you could have Villa away at Brighton, then at home to Forest, both with table bonus in 2 game weeks. And then I could go to Glasner. I'm also looking at Glasner. They have Villa at home. No, they don't. They have Brighton at home in game week 31 is also what I'm looking at. It's table bonus at the moment. So fingers crossed that it stays that way. But as a result, this is how my team has lined up for this week. 3 free transfers made, 1 free transfer still available. So in theory, if we got to the deadline and we heard that, I don't know, someone wasn't going to start, I would just sell Ahmad to someone like an Alanga, probably. If we got to the deadline. That's the other benefit of go, because I went early on my transfers before the deadline last night. Is if we get to the deadline and something surprising happens, I do have an additional free transfer where I can just sell Ahmad and hopefully get through with it anyway. So Captaincy armband is as a result on the is on Erling Haaland. Having bought him, that was always the aim. I'm not certain. And Bournemouth and Villa could... Oh, yeah, it requires Bournemouth and Villa to win. Bournemouth and Fulham, yes, because they could... Yeah, so if Fulham win, they climb above Villa. And if Bournemouth win, or Bournemouth get a point, they climb above Villa. So it would need Fulham to beat Spurs, but it is possible. Thank you. Thank you, Connor. Could I ask why Milenkovic has gone up in your ratings and above Olareina in particular? So... I've gone with Milenkovic because Ipswich and Man United over the next 2 are awful at defending set pieces. They have some of the worst data in the league for defending set pieces. So Milenkovic is a real goal threat, and that's why I've gone with him. He's cheaper, and I don't think Olareina is particularly... I don't think he's particularly worth the money. So, for example, if we look on Fantasy Football Scout, let's get the defending tab up. Shots conceded from set pieces. Leicester are there. Man United is okay. Headed chances conceded again. Man United are actually all right, but I think it's recently. Like if I go last 6 game weeks, it might be that they've been... I saw it on Black Box. Man United's headed. I mean, it's pretty close, right? But Leicester are right up there. Not Leicester, Ipswich. There. So there's a few things. I just think he's cheaper. He's got amazing goal threat. So I've gone with that. I've gone with Williams though. He's the cheapest. And that's what I've got. Best replacement for Hall instead of Williams. It depends how much money you've got. Top 5 defenders that we've got are Kirkes, Gvardiol, Milenkovic, Williams, or if you need a cheap one, Cresswell. 3.9 million is the one I look at. Best chip strategy for assistant manager, wildcard, and free hit. I'm not going to decide now until after the FA Cup. And on that Sunday evening, Monday morning, once we get the FA Cup results starting to come in, we will begin to have a much clearer picture on what the best chip strategy is. I'm eyeing up a few things. The first thing is assistant manager 30, free hit 33, wildcard 35. That's the first one. I might play assistant manager 31 to 33, wildcard 34, or I might just wildcard 31 and then just assistant manager at the end, like everyone, and just leave it to the end. You have only 1 transfer. Can I do a free hit? If you are in need of a free hit draft or a wildcard draft, I have 2 of those in. I have 1 of each of them in my final decisions video from yesterday. If you want to go and have a look at that and check that out, it has that in there. It depends what you can get to. I would ideally not like to play the free hit this week. And a few people asking, A few people asking about why I haven't played the free hit. Game week 33 doubles followed by game week 34 blanks, most likely for exactly the same teams that doubled the week before, is much more difficult to navigate than I think this particular week is, particularly because a lot of the players that you want to buy have good fixtures next week. Like Forest have Man United at home. Like, that's not bad. But Bournemouth have Ipswich at home and Man City have Leicester at home next week. And like Chelsea have Spurs at home. There are a lot of good fixtures next week for the players that you're buying this week. So if you're free hitting, like if you free hit this week and go and buy Gvardiol, triple Bournemouth and, you know, triple City, and then not own them next week for Leicester at home and Ipswich at home, I don't particularly love that. I prefer to use the free hit in either a double or a blank, but when that week sits very separately to the weeks around it, like you can't really combat the weeks before and after with that week, whereas I do think you can with this one. Currently fielding 10 with a -4. Should I sell? Yes, I would. If you've got a player down, I probably would take an extra hit to take the chance that the player you bring in does something. I probably would take the chance, unless it's a defender. But if it's Trent doesn't look like he's going to be back for 30. What FA Cup results? That's a really good question. What FA Cup results from Chaël? What FA Cup results would make wildcard game week 30 be okay? It's not so much that specific results make wildcard 30 be okay. It's more that we might not know exactly where the doubles are going until game week 31. So if we look in game week 30, it's on the Tuesday and the FA Cup is the weekend just before. Whereas if game week 31 is the Saturday. So going into game week 30, we'll have very good... Oh, someone at my door. 1 second. Sorry. Can we put a ban on all FA Cup permutation chat? I mean, we're not going to have to do that much more until we get the next round of the FA Cup out the way. That being said, over the next 2 weeks, I'll probably only do one video and it will probably be on Monday morning. And then after that, we'll probably leave it until the FA Cup because otherwise we're just doing videos on if, buts and maybes. And even with wildcard, like I can't really do a wildcard draft. Better instead of Evan Nilsson. Yeah, I prefer Evan Nilsson, partly because of the fixture in game week 30, because Evan Nilsson has Ipswich at home, whereas Beto has Liverpool away. But if you don't need Beto in 30, then yeah, I don't mind it. What about Howson? I don't mind Howson. If I'm spending that, though, I'd probably go for a Forest defender. His attacking threat is okay. They do have all their centre-backs back fit, and I'm not saying Howson's going to lose his place. But, for example, in game week 30, when they play Ipswich at home straight after an FA Cup game where they might all play 120 minutes, that's my concern. Agbadu, I don't mind at 4 million. I probably would go Cresswell over him, but I don't think there's that much between them. Play Mikalenko or Wanyeri. I'd probably favour the attacker there, and I'd probably play Wanyeri. I don't really have that much on my benching ranking today because I did ask, and everyone was like, I've only got 8 players. There's no benching ranking. But I can add that in. I can add Wanyeri in. I'd probably play Wanyeri over most of these. I'm happy to add in anything that people want. Alanga or Hudson-Odoi. I would probably prefer Alanga just because he's on some set pieces and stuff like that. So, yeah. What happened to Kirkes? I wish I could have gone Kirkes, and I could have afforded him, but I just decided to go with Williams because it leaves me 0.8 million in the bank in case I want to assistant manager in game week 30. And Forest are a very good defense, and I realized that if I don't own them over the next couple of weeks, there's going to be a lot of people that own them. So I just went with Williams as he is very nice and cheap. He was only 4.4. And some of the upcoming fixtures are not bad. Ipswich, Man United, Everton, like Brentford. If I plan on free hitting in game week 33, the fixtures are pretty good for them. So I just went with that. Can I take a -4 just to keep a goalkeeper? I would probably take the chance on it. I think there are some decent goalkeepers this week, especially if it benefits your team next week as well. 10 players or sell Konate? I probably would sell Konate. I probably would, yeah. Would I do Colwell for Kirkes? Yes, I probably would. I don't have that much faith in Chelsea this week. As a Jackson holder, I am hoping that, as a Palmer holder, I am hoping that Jackson is back in game week 30. Anything wrong with Gibbs White? No, I just am not certain that he's worth 1.2 million over the other Forest midfielders. So I think you might be able to afford it now, but it might be in a couple of weeks if you don't play a wild card that you'd want that money. That's the only thing. Why rather sell Isak, not Palmer? Is it just only because of the assistant manager left? No. So because I do think Palmer is a good long-term hold, and I do think Isak is as well, but I didn't like the midfielders nearly as much as I liked the forwards. And I can get Isak back very easily in game week 31 by selling Haaland again. Whereas if I sold Palmer, it's too many transfers to try and get him back, whereas it's very easy for me to get Isak back. And it would have been an extra transfer to sell Palmer because I would have had to have sold Ahmad as well. Whereas in this case, I just sold 3 players who didn't have a fixture. So, yeah. I'm not expecting much from Palmer against Arsenal. I think this game will finish 1-0 Arsenal. But like his data still recently has been really impressive. If there's ever a player who's going to turn it around, and I do think these run of fixtures, like if I don't play my wild card, I want Palmer for this run. And that's basically what it boiled down to, that I tried to find a solution. So this is where we're at. I will probably do Haaland. We can do the future planning in a minute, but let's just do a few more questions. Rodgers to Alanga or Greaves to Milenkovic? It would partly be depending on what would benefit your team most next week. If you need a defender next week, then Milenkovic. But if you'd bench Milenkovic next week, then I'd prefer Alanga this week, I think. Kane, you gifted a membership. I didn't see who won it. Who won it? I don't know if I can scroll up and see. Oh, Connor won it. Congratulations, and you said thank you. Cunha and Isak for Haaland, Evan Nilsson, or Cunha and Palmer for Haaland Gibbs White. I'd rather the Evan Nilsson route. If you're gonna wildcard in game week 31, I think selling Isak is a very reasonable thing to do. You can't afford Haaland, as I got Bruno and Kirkes. Who's the best replacement for Watkins and Isak? If you can't go to Haaland, I wouldn't sell Isak, but Watkins to Evan Nilsson or Chris Wood, probably, whichever you don't own. Who would I sell out of Greaves and Dango? I'd rather sell Greaves and chance that Dango. I think Bournemouth have scored more goals with players off the bench than any other team. So although we don't expect Dango to start, he'll probably get 20 minutes and it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Is it worth Trent to Gvardiol for a -4? Yes, if you're playing an extra player this week, and it probably benefits your team in game week 30 as well. So yes. Bowen and Kirkes or Bruno and Gvardiol? I feel like Bruno Gvardiol is so much more expensive. But Bruno Gvardiol, definitely. Yeah, I would go Bruno Gvardiol. Do I think Marmoush starts? So Manchester City are the joint early kickoff. And we might get some early team news on that. Yep, Sarah. So I have considered that of Ahmad to Alanga for free this week and to bench Greaves. But the issue is doing that transfer will almost definitely force me into a -4 between now and later. So do I think Elanga is definitely worth 4 more points over Greaves this week? I'm not sure it is. I really like the idea of Bruno and Kirkes or Gvardiol and Bowen. Bruno Kirkes. I really like the idea that I've only used 3 transfers and I have 2 next week. I just feel like it puts me in quite like, and if I go in wildcard 31, I'm then rolling and having 3 free transfers and wildcarding game week 31, which I feel like puts me in a really strong position. So should I take a -4 for playing keeper? If so, who? Yes. Matt Sells is probably my number 1 goalkeeper I'd look to buy this week. Rodgers to Manetzi or Eze to Kluivert. I do Eze to Kluivert. Kluivert, it feels a great buy for the next 2 weeks. Is it worth bringing in Odegaard or Wanyeri for Bowen? No, I wouldn't do either of those. I'd definitely keep Bowen for the next 2 games if you've got him now. De Ligt or Gvardiol. So I know Az was talking about it on Black Box that Leicester have been awful from set pieces and De Ligt is not a bad punt. I still don't think I'd buy him though, so I'd go Gvardiol. Why does the analytics love Trossard so much? I am a little bit confused by it as well. Normally you can understand why certain data models throw out certain players. Like you can understand why Eze and Bruno and João Pedro come out really high on some of these models because they play a lot of minutes. They're on penalties. They take a lot of set pieces, some of them, and they're very reliable in their talisman. But I don't see any of that. I don't see Trossard ticking any of those boxes. I am a little bit surprised that some of the models love Trossard so much. Is what I don't quite get it. Like I get it with someone like an Odegaard even. He plays a lot of minutes. He's a creative hub. He's very involved in the game. I get it, but I get it. Anyway, if you guys could drop a like on the stream and subscribe if you're new. 3,400 of you in already. And only 200 likes. So let's have a look at the Chris Wood stuff is fake. Yeah. So the Chris Wood stuff is fake. Do not worry yourselves. So let's have a look. That's the table. So transfers this week is I did that to that. Isak to Evan Nilsson. And Trent to Williams. Now it says I've only got that because there have been price changes last night. So let me just... there we go. Let's just do it like that. So next week, with 2 free transfers, this is how my team will look. And I know people are like, Harry, why are you holding on to Ahmad? But just because I just don't need him. Like, as simple as that. I'm basically just played with 7 attackers for like 4 weeks straight since he's got injured. But even before that, he was always just the player that I benched. And I don't need them. I've got double Bournemouth at home to Ipswich, Palmer at home to Spurs, Salah, Wood, Haaland, and then Burma away at Newcastle. The defence is fine. I do not need that Ahmad spot. I might play the assistant manager that week on either Emery or Glasner. Let's just put Glasner in for now. It would be Southampton, potentially followed by, like if Palace get table bonus in game week 30 and 31, where are they? At home to Brighton, which is possible. Like if Brighton win or draw, we might have table bonus. Like if they beat City today, we might get table bonus for that. In which case, I just play it on Glasner in 30, 31, and 32 and just take like 3 bonus games from it and Southampton. So that's what I'm looking at there. I probably will look to sell Pickford. Now, it might be to Nick Pope if we know he's going to be Newcastle's number 1. Like if he plays in the cup final, if he plays in the cup final, and plays well, it could just be him. And then I could go Glasner. If not, it could be Unai Emery for 2 weeks as well, because they have Brighton away, Forest at home, which could both be table bonus. Like that Forest at home game for Villa is really nice if they're table bonus. The only thing is it comes just before their Champions League game against PSG, which I don't love. So at the moment, I'm hoping I might get Glasner 4 games, 3 being bonus. Pope would come in. I would look to do Haaland back to Isak in game week 31. I might even do Evan Nielsen to Mateta that week as well. 2 free transfers, game week 32. I've got 2 Newcastle, 2 Palace, 3 Palace. All I need to do then is do Ahmad out and buy Anthony Gordon. In game week 32, I could in theory do it in game week 31, but it would potentially be a hit. But like I could do, let me put that back. And let me put Evan Nielsen back. Like in game week 31, instead, I could do Ahmad to, instead of buying, I've made a mistake here. But anyway, I could do Ahmad to Gordon that week and have him against Leicester. And maybe bench Evan Nielsen and play in Burmo. It'd be between Evan Nielsen and Burmo. And then do the other one this week in Evan Nielsen to Mateta in game week 32. And it does get me the full complement of doublers. I would ideally have Evan Nielsen, Mateta in game week 30. But like in game week 30, I'm not selling Haaland. I'm not selling Evan Nielsen at home to Leicester and at home to Ipswich as much as I might want Mateta. I can't do Evan Nielsen to Mateta either. I'd have to sell Haaland, and that's not happening. So, game week 32. So I'd have triple Newcastle. I'd have triple Palace, including Glasner. The plan potentially would be to free hit in game week 33 for the double. My team would then come back in for game week 34, looking something like this. Gordon, they have a great fixture. Things look pretty nice that week. And then wildcard game week 35 is what I'm hoping to do. But the FA Cup, something will happen in the FA Cup that means it all goes and changes again. But that's currently the plan. I might assistant manager in 30. Wood to Mateta. I could do Wood to Mateta, but I could do it. But I'm not sure I want to. I still think these fixtures are pretty good. If he was to blank in 30 this week, sorry, I might consider Wood to Mateta next week. You have Murillo. Would I get Milenkovic or Aït-Nouri? I still think I'd go Milenkovic and I'd double up. Forest are ranked higher than Wolves in my thinking at the moment. Should I replace Robinson or Pedro, and with who? I mean, if you can do Pedro to Chris Wood or Pedro to Evan Nielsen, I probably would do it. If you can't, then I would just hold what you've got. So honestly, I think I've spent more time this week thinking about what transfers to make than I've thought in any other game week that I can remember. Like, that I honestly can remember. This is the longest I've ever spent working out what transfers to make. And I got to last night, I went on the above average and I still didn't know what to do completely. Had a really nice chat with them. Still wasn't certain of what I was going to do. And I was like, I just want to make my transfers. I just wanted to make my transfers last night. There are price changes which were going to help it. And I was like, I don't want to have to wake up on Saturday morning, spend time thinking about the same transfers over and over again when nothing is going to happen this morning that was going to really change my thinking. Like, I'm not going to suddenly come up with a plan this morning that I hadn't been thinking about for the past 5 days. So I was like, let me do it. And I did the transfers and I just sat there and I was like, I feel like I've done a good plan. Things have planned well. So if things go wrong, that's okay. And then I woke up this morning and I don't know, I felt like such a relief. I found this week really, really difficult to decide what transfers to make this week. Why not Bruno over Mbermo? I could do that, but again, I'm not sure it's worth a transfer as well. This plan was very improbable earlier on in the week, but I planned it quite through Thursday, Friday, and actually in my final decisions video yesterday, it was the plan that I said I was most likely to go with yesterday. The reason being is because I was always under the impression that selling Isak was not something I wanted to do if I wasn't going to wildcard in game week 31. But the more I looked at it, I then planned out that I realized that if I don't wildcard 31, the good thing about this plan is it used one less transfer and I can just use that transfer to buy Isak back. So it doesn't actually put me in much of a worse position and it allowed me to keep Palmer. So that's the difference in my thinking going into Thursday, Friday versus Sunday, because I had time. My initial reaction in the game was like, okay, well, I might not wildcard, so I can't sell Isak. But then as the week went on and I planned it out and I went onto FPL.team and I looked at what it looked like, I realized because it used a less transfer this week, it would allow me to potentially buy him back. I have kept Palmer. I don't expect loads from him this week, if I'm honest, but I do like the fixtures from 30 onwards for him. A bit of international break could do him a world of good. A bit of a break could do him a world of good. Go to England, in England camp, be around lots of people who have probably gone through similar to what he's probably going through at the moment. Talk to Kane, talk to Rashford, talk to, I don't know who else is on that camp who's maybe gone through a bit of a slump. And yeah, and hopefully he comes back stronger with the likes of Jackson and others being available from game week 30 onwards. You never know. You never know. Yes, you can. You can play your free hit this week. I put a draft in my final decisions video if you need it. Good morning, Jen. How are you? Lots of England players who have been out of favour for a couple of years. So in the Chelsea camp, I don't think there's a single player who will be able to understand what Palmer's really going through. I don't think there's a single player who's gone through similar from a goal scoring point of view. Someone like Caicedo probably did when he first joined, but it's not the same. But on the England camp, I think there are a lot of players who will know what Palmer has experienced. Now, if he scores against Arsenal, it doesn't matter, right? But plus the coach as well, right? Thomas Tuchel will have been there with players. I can't say Maresca will be the best place to help deal with that. Oh yeah, Sancho, that's fair. Sancho, that's fair. But I would say that Sancho hasn't, like a lot of those players in the England camp have gone through a slump and maybe dealt with it and improved. I'm not sure Sancho's steadied, but he's never got back to the levels that maybe you'd want him to be at. Gibbs White or Bruno or Bowen. If you can afford Bruno, he's my favourite midfielder to buy this week after Kluivert. Assistant manager this week is not a good week. If you have to play it this week, I probably would punt. It's really difficult. Like, you just back someone to win, I think. And you just go like Bournemouth or you go Forest or something like that. But it's not a good week. Yeah, Sancho needs the same chat. Well, hopefully Palmer will go on England duty, have the chat with everyone and come back and talk to Sancho. Areola to Fabianski for a hit. Do you mean Fabianski to Areola? Areola is the one who's going to start. Would I do it for a hit? No. Well, if you don't have a goal, I still don't think I'd do it for a hit to Areola, no. Which teams aren't playing blank game week 34? We don't know until the FA Cup is out of the way. The teams who are still in the FA Cup will likely blank, although it's not guaranteed. Bruno and Kirkes, I prefer Panolio. That's what I prefer. Start Robinson or Mikalenko. I'd probably go Mikalenko. Although Spurs playing Thursday night might just mean if you've got Pickford, I'd play Robinson. Would I sell Robinson for a hit? No, definitely not. I think Fulham will win that game. I think they'll beat Spurs. Bellegarde over Gibbs-White for the next 3. I probably would go Gibbs-White. I don't mind Bellegarde, but they have loads of attackers suddenly back available. It's a little bit confusing. And then, of course, in that run, you're going to get Cunha returning as well, which adds another dynamic of what happens with that as well. So I probably would just go with Gibbs-White for safety for the next 3. Am I not getting rid of Ahmad? I don't think so. I don't like the midfielders to buy. I've said this since I've had him, that I basically didn't like the midfielders to buy, and I still don't. And I didn't need to sell him, and I will keep him probably until I buy Anthony Gordon in his place. Ahmad will likely go to a Newcastle or a Crystal Palace midfielder if I don't wildcard. Can I please explain the reasoning for Haaland captain over Chris Wood? Of course, we haven't really spoken about captaincy. I think captaincy is really open. I do think if Chris Wood was at home, I think it would be different. I don't think there's that much between the two of them, if I'm honest. I think I do just trust Erling Haaland a little bit more, but I don't think there's that much in it. I think I just trust Haaland at home more than I trust Chris Wood at the moment. Semenyo or Minte to keep 0.8 in the bank. If you still have the assistant manager, maybe you just go Minte and keep the money spare. If you don't have the assistant manager, then don't bother. 3 transfers. Munoz, Gabriel, Trent, Greaves, Harwood, Bellis and Burmo. Mid will be a -4 or do Cresswell, Beto, Haaland. Williams, Haaland, Evan Nilsson, 4.3 mid. I wouldn't go for a 4.3 mid. I think it will really hinder you going forward. Unless you're going to wildcard 31. If you're on wildcard 31, then the 4.3 mid is fine. As long as you don't need them this week, because there basically isn't one. Yeah. Why Williams over Kirkes? Because it leaves me 0.8 in the bank in case I want to play the assistant manager next week. Why am I not free hitting? I just didn't think my team needed it. Free hit in game week 33 or 34, I feel like is going to be much, much more powerful than it is this week for my team. If your team needs it, I don't mind it at all. But I think for my team, it just didn't need it. And it's going to be much more beneficial in the later doubles and blanks. E7, of course. Trent, Palmer, Rogers, Cunha out for Williams, Alanga, Semenyo, Haaland, or Trent, Isak, Cunha out for Agbadu, Beto. I'd do the first option. E7, I think I'd do the first option. What about Foden as a punt for 1 week in a free hit? If we get news before the deadline that Foden starts, I don't hate it. I just don't think there's any guarantee he starts, and I just don't think he's playing very well. Like, he was just not great against Forest, and he gets hooked early. I just think there's much better 1 week punts. I think the thing is on free hit is because you have so much money left spare, you're inclined to look at someone like a Foden. But if you didn't have the money for Foden, you wouldn't even think twice about trying to afford money for Foden. He's just not worth it. So I don't like the Foden pick very much at the moment. I'd play Wanyeri over Mikalenko, yeah. Beto for Gakpo, Haaland for Isak, Bellegarde for Ahmad. Yeah, I don't mind that. Bellegarde's an interesting punt. If you don't need him after this week, he's fine. Should start this week. How would I play my free hit? If you need wildcard or free hit drafts for this week, I put drafts of both of those in my final decisions video yesterday. There's a wildcard and there's a free hit draft in that video. So I would do something that looks like that. Bruno or Chris Wood captain. Bruno is above Chris Wood in my rankings, I think. Raya or Pickford to start. It might depend if you have a Gabriel or a Mikalenko. I probably would just hedge my bets a little bit and do Raya and Mikalenko or Pickford and Gabriel. If you've got Mikalenko and you've got Gabriel, I probably would go Raya. Saar for a -4 if no goalkeeper this week or roll without one. If you'd play Saar in game week 30, I'd do it. But if your goalkeeper's Henderson, I'm not sure I would. I'm just not sure it's worth it for a goalkeeper. When am I wildcarding? Either game week 31. It, in theory, could be 30 if we get the doubles announced. Either game week 30, game week 31, or game week 35. I could just save it for the end of the season. If Villa get through and get a decent draw, for example, I might be more inclined because it might increase the chance of a double in game week 36. So it kind of depends on a few things. How good assistant manager looks in 30, what the doubles look like at the end. I would say 31 is probably just about the most likely, but it's probably only about... I'd say there's a 60% chance I wildcard in either 30 or 31 and 40% chance I save it. Is probably where I'm at. Hall to Kirkes for a hit. Probably, yeah. I probably would. I don't know exactly what it means for your team both this week and next week, but yes. What's my plan to get Isak back? Haaland Isak in 31 when he plays Leicester is the plan. After Haaland plays Leicester in 30, Haaland Isak in 31 when Isak plays Leicester. Or if I wildcard in 31, I'll just buy him back then. Nottingham Forest defender for free or Kirkes for a hit? Definitely the Forest defender for free. Yeah. I like Kirkes a lot, but yeah. Just for this week, would I do Dalot or Mikalenko and Gibbs White or Bowen? If it is purely for this week, it would be Gibbs White and Dalot. But a lot of people will not wildcard in 30 and will wildcard in game week 31. So I would say Bowen is probably better for the next two, and Dalot still probably. Why did I decide to buy not to buy Bruno? Bruno was just never a player that really fit the transfers I wanted to make this week. Because Palmer to Bruno didn't free up enough money to buy Haaland in any of the situations. So if I was buying Bruno, it was just for luxury in place of Mbeumo and Palmer. And in that situation, I didn't think it was needed. If Palmer to Bruno freed up enough money for me to buy Haaland, then I probably would have considered Bruno more. But it just didn't really fit my transfers. It was basically just buying Bruno for the buying Bruno rather than it doing anything future for my team. That's basically why. Listen, if I had space to buy Bruno, he's definitely one of the best owns this week. I'd go Elanga over Hudson-Odoi. Would captain Palmer Greaves free? Would Haaland captain Dango for -4? So Palmer Greaves or Haaland Dango for a hit? I'd rather Haaland Dango, I think. Buy Haaland even if you have a full team. If it's for a hit, then no. If it's for free, you can consider it, but if it's for a hit, then no. It's one thing if you're taking out a blank player and Palmer. If you're taking out 2 players with a fixture to buy Haaland, I don't think that's worth it. I'm less on board with Haaland particularly being worth it than I think other people are. But I have bought him. But I don't think he's... I just think he's far from essential. Start Bowen or Evan Nielsen. I mean, Evan Nielsen over Bowen, but you're very lucky to have both. Prediction for the cup final. As a Chelsea fan I've been to Wembley. I've been to 5 cup finals at Wembley and seen us lose all 5, 4 of which were to Liverpool, 1 of which was to Leicester. I cannot see anything but a Liverpool win in the cup final. I hope I'm wrong, more because I just like to see Newcastle win it. You know, it's nice to see a club who hasn't won something in a long time win a trophy. And I feel the same about the FA Cup, right? I don't think anyone outside of Manchester City fans wants City to win the FA Cup. Partly because there are so many teams, every other team left in that competition hasn't won it in over 50 years. And some haven't won it at all. So that would be much nicer than seeing City win it again. And in the FA Cup, I think generally it would be nicer to see Newcastle win it than Liverpool win it again. But as a Chelsea fan, I have seen my team lose to Liverpool at Wembley more times than I would ever want to see my team lose at Wembley. I think Liverpool win it, but you never know. With Trent out 120 minutes on Tuesday night, disappointment going out in the Champions League. You never know, right? You never know. But I think Anthony Gordon might have a lot to answer to because Newcastle looked really toothless without him on Monday night. They looked really, really toothless without him. And that was partly why I thought it was actually okay for me to sell Isak a little bit, because in game week 30 they're still going to be without Gordon, and I did think they struggled a little bit. Now they might be fine, but yeah. Let me know your score predictions for that game. Would be interested to see some of them. Did I use my free hit? No, I'm not playing a chip this week. I'll save my chips. I've got assistant manager. Sorry, I've got wildcard, free hit, bench boost, and 3 weeks of assistant manager. If I don't play anything in game week 30, that means I have 6 weeks of chips for the final 8 weeks of the season. And probably won't be playing one in a blank game week and the final week of the season. The chances are every other week will have a chip active. I'm going to put a captaincy poll in. Why have I not done that? Captaincy poll. Haaland. Chris Wood. Fernandez. Other. I'm not dropping Palmer. I expect a blank from him this weekend, but I do think he's a good option from game week 30. I think he'll be in a lot of game week 31 wildcards. So yeah. Mbermo, Bowen, or Elanga. You have the money. I wouldn't buy Mbermo. If you can get to Bruno, I prefer it to that, but I probably would go Bowen. Semenyo or Minte to keep. Yeah, we did that. If you've got the assistant manager, I'd go Minte. Bench 1, Robinson, Kirkes, Gabriel, or Dibbling. I'd probably bench Dibbling. Last free transfer for Greaves, O'Shea out, or save it and play both. You have 4.5 in the bank. If the thing is, it probably benefits your team in 30 as well, Martin, in which case I would do it. Kirkes or Gavardio or a Forest defender would be my top ones. Is Evanilson nailed? Yes. I mean, no one's ever 100%, but he is definitely first choice. He doesn't play 90 is the only thing. And that did put me off slightly. I'm just going to get to... If I get to the 70th minute and he hasn't done anything, I just know he's going to get hooked. That's the only thing. But... Dally. -4. Would I do Rodgers to Elanga or play Greaves? No, not attack. Do I think Elanga is worth a hit over Greaves? Well, I'm not doing it. I wouldn't do it. Like, although mine's for free, it would force a hit further down the line. So I don't think I would do it for a hit. Actually, if I didn't have a transfer, I wonder if I'd be more inclined to do it. But it's the use of a precious free transfer feels worse than taking a -4. But no, I don't think I'd do that. 3 free transfers. Do I swap Trent, Palmer, Isak, and Dango for Williams, Kluivert, Bruno, and Haaland? Trent, Palmer, Isak, Dango. I quite like those moves, yes. Ahmad's going to be on my bench for the rest of the season, and then I'm going to own him in game week 1 next year. Yeah. When's the soonest I might get Isak back? Game week 31 for Leicester. I think I'm almost certain that I'll buy him back for Haaland that week if I'm not on wildcard. Yeah, so I'll probably go without him for a blank Brentford at home. Hope that Haaland scores enough at home to Brighton, at home to Leicester, and then move him back. 50% of you are on Haaland captain. 29% of you are on Chris Wood captain, and 16% of you are on Bruno Fernandes captain. Yeah. I don't think Haaland's worth the money, but I had it available, and he's a good option for the next couple of weeks when there's a blank. Is it worth selling Palmer to Haaland and for a -4 free, even if I don't use my wildcard in 31? I don't think it's worth... I don't think I would have done it if it was a hit. I don't think I'd have bought Haaland if I had to take a hit, if I'm honest. If you're captain him, the hit could be paid off just like that. Like if Haaland outscores Chris Wood, then the hit is paid off instantly. I'm just not sure I'd take the chance on the -4. Why not Bruno, Palmer, then possibly back to Palmer? It's too many sideways. If I've already done the Isak sideways move, it's then another sideways to go back to Palmer as well. Now, if Bruno outscores Palmer this week, it would just pay for it straight away. So I actually know what you mean, but I don't want to take too many chances that I've got to take hits further down the line. If I had to buy a goalkeeper this week, I'd probably play Sells. I'd buy Sells of Nottingham Forest. Rodgers to Bellegarde. I don't mind it as a punt if it's for free. Greaves or a Fulham defender, I'd play probably the Fulham defender. Although, I didn't realise Greaves at the weekend, he had 0.56 XG against Palace. Hopefully he can replicate that against Forest, although I have bought Williams, but the Greaves ownership is going to be much lower than the Forest ownership. So I'd rather Greaves score than I get a Forest clean sheet, but look at that. Look at this guy. I think that's his highest of the season. 0.25 against Liverpool, 0.27 against West Ham. He does get the odd big chance. Oh, apologies. Isak, Trent, Visser, Ahmad to Haaland, Evanilson, Williams, and Winks for a -4. I'd go Dibbling over Winks. Or Isak, Visser, Trent to Haaland, Cresswell, Beto, or Isak, Trent to Evanilson, Williams. If the option to get Cresswell and Beto, no, I'd go the -4, I think, because it benefits your team next week. Evanilson's much better than Beto in game week 30. Hopefully you can buy Dibbling or someone instead of Winks. How much is Winks? 4-4. Yeah, you can buy Dibbling. He's the same. I would just go Dibbling. At least he's attacking. Although he does play for Leicester, Southampton. But Winks plays for Leicester, so he's not much better. Any Marmouche news? No. So we are an hour and 15 minutes away from the deadline. We are hoping that we might get some early team news going into the deadline on some of the teams, particularly Manchester City. But it's, yeah, we did get it last week. So let's wait and see. But we only got it about 5-10 minutes before the deadline last week. So I'm not expecting we see anything until we get there. If you can't afford Haaland, then I just don't think it's worth stressing about. How about the assistant manager? I might play it in game week 30, but there's no good opportunities for assistant manager this week. There's just nothing I like. If you had to play your assistant manager this week, where would you play it? If this was your fixtures, where would you play your assistant manager? Bear in mind that there are only 2 tables bonus games, and they are Ipswich and Leicester. If you had to play your assistant managership this week, where would you play it? The benching rankings looked better. Yeah, I don't really know who to put in it. United away at Leicester. Yeah, you could do that. Brighton. I don't think I trust Brighton enough, though. And it's not bonus either. If it was bonus, then I'd understand it. But I don't think you'd chance that without... It's a really difficult week for the assistant manager. Moyes, West Ham. Yeah. Again, it's an issue it's not bonus. The benching ranking is Palankin this week. I'll add players to it, but Evanilson, Bruno Palmer, or Haaland, Alanga, Greaves. Evanilson, Bruno Palmer. We don't know on Marmouche yet. Evanilson for free or -4 for Haaland. I don't know what the other transfer is. If the other transfer is Trent out, then yes, I'd do it. If the other transfer is like Palmer out, then maybe I wouldn't do it. Matthew, Alanga or Hudson-Odoi for Rodgers. I prefer Alanga over Hudson-Odoi. Alanga is in my top 5 mids to buy as well. Hudson-Odoi doesn't make it. I would go Alanga. He has more routes. He's on some set pieces and stuff like that. Is it okay not having Haaland? Yes. I do not think it's worth tearing your team up if it's to get Haaland. If you can get him easily, then yes. But I don't think it's worth stressing about. I really don't. How close are you from captaining Wood instead of Haaland? Is it like a 50-50? The issue I've got is I'm not certain I'm going to captain Haaland in 30. At home to Leicester. With Salah at home to Everton. I think I may well have it on Salah. So, with that in mind, I kind of need to captain Haaland once in the 2 weeks of buying him or it just won't be worth it. So that is playing into my thinking a little bit. I don't think there's that much between it. Haaland at home versus Chris Wood away. I feel like I'm trying to convince myself that it's the right thing to do. I don't think there's that much in it. But if I'm not going to captain Haaland in 30, I'm just not sure it's massively worth it to buy him if I don't captain him at all. Haaland ain't scoring. Listen, I fully think it's a possibility. I don't think it's not the Haaland of old. It's not the Manchester City of old. So, yeah. Why did I choose to keep the extra transfer? So, the reason I did decide to keep the extra transfer with this route is I'll need that transfer to buy Isak back if I don't play the wild card. So, I don't really want to do Ahmad to Alanga because if I then want Isak back before I wild card, I will have to take a hit to do it. That Ahmad spot will probably be Gordon or it will be Gordon, Sarr, Murphy. It will be a Newcastle or a Palace defender for the double probably if I don't play the wild card. Is triple Bournemouth attack too much? I actually looked at a possibility where I did this. I did similar to this, but I did Ahmad to Semenyo. I could do Ahmad to Semenyo as well here. Like I could do that. I have the money for Ahmad to Semenyo. For Brentford at home, Ipswich at home, like I don't mind that at all. It does give me a benching headache next week though. What's going on, Duncan? Emphasis on the differential screen, mate. That's because that's the wrong Evan Nielsen. There we go. I appreciate it, Duncan. Racer Boy, start Dango or Greaves. I'd start Dango over Greaves, and I would take him up. I wouldn't take a -4 for a goalkeeper if your goalkeeper is Henderson. If your goalkeeper isn't Henderson, then I probably would. Dango to Alanga for free or start Dango. I probably would do Dango to Alanga for free. I don't think Dango's going to start. I don't think I'd sell him to a hit unless you're buying someone like a Cliver or like a Bruno, like a top tier midfielder. Like I wouldn't do Dango to Alanga for a -4, I don't think. But for free, yeah, probably. Greaves to Gvardiol for a hit, Connor. If Gvardiol improves your defense next week, then yes. If it doesn't, then no. I've said this before, and it's a weird like framing thing in my mind that sometimes if I've got one free transfer, I'd rather be able to take a hit and save that transfer than use the transfer and then only have one the following week. Like, if you offered me Ahmad to Alanga for a free transfer, I'm like, I want to save that free transfer. But if you're like, oh, you can do it for a hit, but you can keep your free transfer and have 2 next week, I'm a bit like, maybe I'd take the chance that Ahmad outscores Greaves by 4 points, but I don't want to use up a precious free transfer, which I know I'll need in the future. It's a weird like framing thing, if that makes sense to anyone. But that's kind of, yeah. Isaac Tomamouche, if any leaks of him starting for a 2-week punt before wildcard 31. I wouldn't know because you're going to have the same thing going into game week 30 about whether he starts or not. Final Six Nations Day today as well. I've never wanted Scotland to win a game of rugby so much in my life. But you never know. Any rugby fans out there? I don't mind Ireland winning. I need France to not win. I need France to, yeah. England need to win with a bonus point, and then we need France to not win. We don't even need to win with a bonus point, actually. We just need to win and then France not to win. Rugby is bad. I mean, I like rugby, but only like big tournaments and stuff like this I enjoy. But Fantasy Six Nations, I don't do it, but I used to actually. When I was at school, I did it. Thoughts on Solanke? I think Spurs will rotate from their game midweek. I don't think we'll be going back to Spurs until they're out of Europe. Let's face it, France are winning it. There's no way they lose to Scotland. The one day we all need Scotland to turn up, they won't, I'm sure. They'd rather France win it than England, so I'm sure. I don't have that much high hopes. When I saw the result last weekend, I was like, oh, wow, maybe we could win it. And then I looked at the table and I was like, actually, sadly, we need, because the points difference is so big. If it was 1 point and the points difference was fine and we could get a bonus point and they wouldn't, then it would make a difference. But yeah. You can get Haaland, but we'll end up with a -4. Can do Foden, Evan Nilsson for no minus. I wouldn't go Foden like at all. If you're not going Haaland, I wouldn't bother with Man City. If you're not going Haaland, just go Bruno in that midfield. Yeah. What was my major? My degree was in business management. Dango is a nightmare. Yeah. Adrian, no chance. No chance. Connor, let me have a look. You can't afford Haaland. You're doing Cunha to Evan Nilsson, Trent and Rodgers. Don't want Bruno because of next week. Semenyo and a Forest defender or Kirkes and Gibbs White. I'd probably prefer the Semenyo Forest defender route, if I'm honest. A differential striker that's not Evan Nilsson, Beto or Strand Larsen are probably my top differentials this week. Good fixtures. It depends if you need them in 30 as well, though, because Evan Nilsson has a better fixture in 30 than Beto does. Sorry, Strand Larsen has a better fixture in 30 than Beto does. Van Dijk out, Williams in for -4, Greaves bench. No, because Van Dijk is useful next week. Rank these in priority order to sell. Salah, Isak, Palmer, Trent. Trent definitely top. It then depends on when you're going to wildcard. An early wildcard, Isak's a better sell. If it's a late wildcard, he's maybe lower down. Why am I bringing Isak back in next week? It probably won't be until game week 31. So I'll keep Haaland for Leicester at home. And then I'll do Haaland back to Isak in 31. You don't have Wood. What should you do? That is a real issue. Who takes penalties for Everton and Wolves? Wolves, we don't know. It would be Sarabia if he's on the pitch. If not, it might be Strand Larsen. Everton, we expect it to be Beto. Timber or Mikalenko? I'd play Timber. It's going down. Timber. You saw Palmer from -8 with Haaland in and no Wood. Thoughts? I don't mind it. Like, I know people have considered it. I'm not sure I would have taken a -8 for Haaland, but if he goes off, he could pay it straight away back, right? So if I was on a -8 for Haaland, I'd definitely cap him. Why is there suddenly so much like if you see anything on Twitter that you want me to see, please tag me in it. If you see anything on Twitter that you want me to see, please tag me in it. But if you're in the chat just saying, oh, Twitter says this, Twitter says that, but you don't tag me in it, then I'm going to just presume that you're lying. But Palmer has to go. I mean, if I don't have to, I think the fixtures from next week. Yeah, there's nothing on Twitter, don't worry. I'm in enough group chats that if there was anything, one of them would have seen it, so. Isn't Bruno a risk because of game week 30 against Forest? It's not the best fixture, but Bruno has the ability to return in any game. He is a bit like that. Alanga or Hudson-Odoi? I prefer Alanga. Whistler out for a -4 to Chris Wood. I probably wouldn't, but it is better next week as well. So I probably wouldn't, but yeah. Doesn't Glasner have the possibility for a double-double? He does. He does. But 33 might be a good opportunity to play the free hit as well. Defender for 5.9 can't get Kirkes or Nottingham Forest. You can't get Gavardiol either. Cresswell or Aït-Nouri then probably. Haaland, Fernandes, Wanyeri and Howson, or Haaland, Hudson-Odoi, Semenyo and Kirkes. I prefer the Kirkes route, TJ. Yeah, there's nothing. What group chat? I've just got lots of group chats on Twitter. I need to post to get them filled back up again, actually. Normally, twice a season or something I post because people become inactive and I just get new people in them. But I have like 3 group chats on Twitter, which I just fill with people who want to be in them and to talk FPL. Can Marmoush cover Haaland? I mean, I don't even know if Marmoush is going to start. If he knows he starts, then potentially. But the issue with buying him is you're then going to have the same risk going into game week 30. And if he starts the FA Cup on the Sunday, Marmoush is at a big risk for the game midweek. When I plan on using the wildcard and the free hit, the plan is to wildcard maybe 31, if not 35, and free hit in probably 33 or 34. Apparently Liverpool are looking to buy Julian Alvarez. Oh, that doesn't look very reliable. Ignore me. Aït-Nouri for Trent or Strand Larsen for Isak. Probably Strand Larsen. Probably Aït-Nouri, just because next week you'll want Isak back, I'd say. Thoughts on assistant manager 31 to 33? Yes, it's something I'm looking at as well. Let's see. I do think free hit 33 might be very possible though. Yeah, we haven't plugged any likes in a long time. If you haven't liked already and subscribed, that would be fantastic. We are 4,600 of you in and only 800 likes. If we could get 110 likes, we would hit 1,000. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support. Any team news yet? Nothing on anyone, no. No, nothing. Is it better to use free hit this week or save it? If it's not obvious that you need to use it this week, I would save it. Yeah. Let's go. When am I using my chips? Sometime after the FA Cup. I'm not using anything this week. It might be as early as assistant manager 30. If not, it'll be 31. Right, here's a question for you. I don't want to get into a heated debate about it, but does Alvarez kick the ball once or twice? Put number 1 or number 2 in the chat if you think he kicked it once or twice. Once, twice, once. Once. It's pretty mixed. Generally 2 wins out just, but it's pretty mixed. I don't think it... Yeah, I think 2 just wins, but... Kicked once, touched twice. Yeah, I mean, how many times does he touch it? 3, 4. If he's kicked it 4. Messi kicked it twice in the World Cup final. I have seen that video circulating. I have seen it. Interesting. 2 like Messi. Interesting. Interesting. Rogers to Semenyo for a -4. Yes, if it gets you an additional player this week. Oh, it's an edited video. Oh, fine. Fine. Someone spent their time editing that then. The ball has a sensor. Yeah, someone told me that the ball has a sensor and that's how they knew. Because everyone was complaining that they knew really quickly that they wouldn't have been able to tell that quickly. But the ball has a sensor in apparently. Oh, it was edited. As if. As if. Start Dango or Kirkes. You're already starting Whisper and Burmo. Kirkes over Dango. No leaks of anything yet. Wood or Evanilson? Wood is the much safer pick. Evanilson's the more aggressive. I would go Chris Wood out of the 2. Munetsi captain or Wood if you're chasing. I'd just go Chris Wood. I don't think I'd be captaining Munetsi. 50 minutes to go to the deadline. We might start getting team news. We got loads of kickoffs at the same time, which is the good thing. The bad thing is I've already made my transfers. 4 games. It's City that we'll particularly look at, but... I've got my phone refreshing. If anyone tags me in anything, I will see it. Best 5 million or less mid. Do a poll for pen 1 or 2. We're just on a captaincy poll at the moment. UEFA edited out for his penalty. 5 million or less. You could punt. You got Minte, Souček, Bellegarde, Dibbling, probably. Losing 0 value on Isak or just sell Palmer. If you're going to wildcard 31, I would still sell Isak. Now's the time to start worrying less a little bit about team value a little bit, I think. Why captain Haaland over Chris Wood? Because I just feel like I've got to captain Haaland in one of the weeks I buy him. And I'm not certain he's going to be my captain next week. I think I might captain Salah next week. When are you finally going to start using the chips? Probably game week 31. It means I'll have 8 weeks left of the season and I'll have a chip active in 6 of the 8 weeks. I just got to get through this week. Probably get through game week 30. I might play the assistant manager in game week 30. In which case I've got a chip in 6 of the last 9 weeks. The weeks that I won't have it will be like the final 3 of the final 4 weeks of the season. Yeah. Who should I get as Trent replacement? Kirkes, Gvardiol, Forest defender. Eddie Howe for assistant manager. I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't think any of them are table bonus. Like Newcastle. Like I could play it here. But none of it's... I could play 30 to 32. Brentford at home, Leicester away. He'd have to win all 4 of those games for it to be worth it, though. I could do that. It's not the worst idea, but I've just not left the money that I'd need for him now. But that is an idea. Yeah, that could work. Who else in this period has table bonus games? No one really. Forest and Palace really. And then like Fulham and Everton, but I'm not doing that. United away at Forest, home City away at Newcastle. Like surely United don't lose 3 in a row, but that guy who's not cutting his hair every day until United win 5 games in a row he's going to be waiting a long, long time. I'm not sure that man's ever going to cut his hair again. I'm not sure he's ever going to cut his hair again, if I'm honest. Hall for Gvardiol. Yes, I quite like that move. Yeah. Go with 10 with a -4 or take a -8. I'd probably take the -8. Is Foden a good shout? I probably wouldn't know. We don't know he's going to start. Play Greaves or take a hit for Rodgers to Elanga. I probably wouldn't take the hit, I don't think. Asking again with more info. You own Henderson and Fabianski. Is it worth to sell Fabianski for Sarr from -4 or roll without a goalkeeper this week? I probably wouldn't take that hit. I don't think I'd take it. Yeah. If you're going to wildcard 31, I don't think that's worth it. You're basically betting that Wolves keep a clean sheet this week, and I don't think there's a high enough percentage chance of it. Sorry. No Haaland. Who to vice? If I didn't have Haaland, I'd probably vice Cliver and captain Chris Wood. Mikalenko to Kirkes or Dibbling to Elanga. Probably Kirkes. Actually, no. Probably Dibbling to Elanga. No, I haven't free hit this week. I'm a little bit alarmed that people are asking if I've played my free hit this week. I'd hope you'd think I could come up with something better on a free hit that includes Greaves. Well, you never know. Greaves 0.5 XG last week. You never know. But no, if you need a free hit or a wildcard draft, it's in my final decisions video from yesterday. There is a wildcard and a free hit draft if you need either of those this week. Now, FPL Tony has tweeted saying, which players are you most interested in for kickoff? Now, maybe it's implying that they're going to get that we might get news. Greaves or Dibbling? Dibbling. Haaland or Palmer until the end of the season? Palmer. And I don't think that's that. It depends what your chip strategy is. If City double in 33 and you free hit 33, then yes. Then Haaland. But if you're free hit 34, then Haaland, because he has the double in 33, most likely. So it's not that obvious. If you just take purely without a chip, I'd rather Palmer and a forward, like Palmer and Isak versus Haaland and a cheap midfielder, for example. But if it's purely based off the two, then probably Haaland. But there's like 4 million in value between them. What's my current chip strategy? I feel like the plan is probably wildcard 31 or 35. So either wildcard 31, free hit 33 or 34, or free hit 33, wildcard 35, depending on what the FA Cup looks like. It's hard to answer it now until we get to the FA Cup. We will discuss it a little bit in a video on Monday. I'm just going to do a video on Monday, which will be just a lot of chatter about where we're at, what we're looking at for the FA Cup, what to look out for and stuff like that, and just a little bit of my thinking. It will be more of a general like discussion video rather than advice, but it's more what to look out for, because that FA Cup game weekend will be one of the biggest weekends we have left of the season for what it will do to what the rest of the season look like. Elanga or Hudson-Odoi? I prefer Elanga over Hudson-Odoi, yeah. -4 to bring in Chris Wood or Larson with no -4. I'd prefer Chris Wood, I think. If you're chasing, then maybe you can punt on Larson without a -4, but I would probably prefer Chris Wood, I think. Greaves, let's hope. I've got Greaves. Let's hope he does something today. But yeah, Palmer's going to be a differential, it feels like. I don't think he'll be that differential, to be honest. I still expect him to be pretty highly owned. Cool. Palmer and Isak to Haaland and Fernandes. Yes, if you're going to wildcard 31, I probably would. You've got double Ipswich defence and 3 Forest. That does not feel like the best place to be in. But I do have Chris Wood up against Greaves. I've got a little bit of it. Luckily, I don't have that. I don't have virtually any, actually. That's the only clash I have. That's the only clash I have. Worried about Evan Nilsson rotation in game week 30? Not massively. No. Semenyo to Kluivert for free. For free, I probably would, but that's a very luxury transfer. But I'd rather Kluivert than Semenyo this week. Would I sell Mateta to Evan Nilsson for a hit? Probably not. Because you'll want to just undo that transfer in the future. If you're going to wildcard 31, then potentially, but probably not. Like, yeah. I have Palmer versus Gabriel. Good point. Good point. I have Palmer versus Gabriel. How did I miss it? Dango to Kluivert for a hit. Yes, I probably would. What I think of Son, I wouldn't be owning any Spurs players. I think they're going to rotate. I think they're not going to look great. And I think Fulham are going to win. After Europe on Thursday, I just don't think he's even guaranteed to start. I think people are looking at someone like a Son because they've got loads of money, particularly on a free hit. But if you're not going Haaland, you've probably got loads of money spare. So it makes someone like a Foden or a Son look appealing, but they're not for me. They're not for me. My plan for today is I made my transfers last night. If we get to the deadline and anyone I own is benched, then I will probably sell... if we get to deadline and anyone I own is benched, I'll probably sell Elanga to... I'll bring in Elanga for Ahmad. But apart from that, I plan to just roll my transfer. Let me have a look. Sorry, I'm just trying to find if there's any team news or anything, but no. There is not. Right. Play Dango or Greaves. If you've got Dango, I would just chance it. I think Bournemouth have scored more goals off the bench than any other team in the league. So I would just chance it on Dango. He was all right off the bench before. He'll be all right again. Is it a big risk not to have Haaland for 30? No, because the players you're selling to buy Haaland for 30 all have good fixtures in 30. Like Isak has Brentford at home. Palmer has Spurs at home. Salah has Everton at home. Like, there's a lot of good fixtures in game week 30, and you're going to have to sell one of those players to buy Haaland. So, unless you can do it without selling them, which is very unlikely, you're going to be without someone else in game week 30. So, I'm not sure I'll be going around throwing hits around for Haaland. The question is, keep Palmer or downgrade to Bruno. If you've got nothing else to do, then that's fine, but In game week 30, I think you'll want to reverse the transfer, and it's not worth going back and forth. Your captain in Greaves. I hope we'll be back here next week talking about his goal. Just for you. Captain Bruno or Chris Wood. So my ranking is Haaland, Bruno, Chris Wood, Cliver. Top 4. There's basically no one after that I'd really go with. It's basically differentials after that. But my ranking is there. I would start Dango over most defenders if you can have the chance. I would just take the chance that he plays or he comes off the bench. Haaland -12 or Wood -8, wildcard before 31. Listen, if you're already on a -8, I probably would just do the additional for Haaland. I don't know what the additional transfer is, but if there was one player out of Haaland or Chris Wood that's more likely to pay back a massive hit over the next 2 weeks, it would probably be Haaland. You'd probably be inclined to captain Haaland both weeks as well, though. So yeah, that's my top captaincy ranking. I don't mind Bruno. I do think the fact that he scored 3 penalties on Thursday night is leading a little bit more into people wanting to buy him. But you never know. Leicester, I've seen them defend. They could easily give him 3 penalties at the weekend. They gave Chelsea 1. Why is Wood versus the leakiest team in the league on form no better? Oh, 2 penalties. Sorry, I just had updates. I was watching the Chelsea game. I thought it was a hat-trick of pens. Sorry. I thought he did it. I thought he'd pulled a Cliver. Sorry. I wasn't watching. When I think I saw him score twice, 2 pens, I just presumed the third one was going to be a pen as well. Oh no. They had a pen situation and he scored right after. Oh, okay, got it. Someone at my door, 1 second. It was the postman. Whom to cap if no Haaland? Fernandes and then Chris Wood and then Cliver in that order. Where's my free hit draft? It is on my video from yesterday. I can get it up. Maybe that's what I should do. There we go.
Are you prioritising strength at the gym? Green Chef has got...
That's not it. I want this one. Free hit draft. Shh. There. That's the free hit draft that I came up with. Apologies. When am I planning your assistant manager? Either 30, 31, or I leave it until 36. Trent and Dango to Gvardiol and Bruno, or Trent, Palmer, Visser to Gvardiol, Semenyo, Haaland. Probably the Trent, Palmer, Visser route. And just chance on Dango. Wildcard in 31. Trent, Isak, Cunha to Williams, Haaland, Wood. Yeah, that's probably what I would do. If you're going to wildcard 31, I do not mind selling Isak at all. 3 free transfers. Watkins, Palmer, Trent out for Haaland and Burma, Gvardiol. Yes, don't mind that. Trent and Cunha to Marmoush and Gvardiol for free. I wouldn't buy Gvardiol personally. This is what a free hit draft would look like if I was playing it this week. This is what it would look like. Wild card, if you're playing it, this is what I went with. You play 10 players this week, but I think you kind of have to if you play your wild card this week. Am I just going to keep Pickford in 30? If I plan to wildcard 31, I'll keep Pickford. If I plan to not wildcard 31, I'll probably sell Pickford. I'm not going to sell Pickford just for 1 week, but if I'm going to keep that goalkeeper for 4 or 5 weeks, then I'll sell Pickford because their fixtures from 30 onwards are horrible. Horrible. This is what they've got. Liverpool, Arsenal, Forest, City, Chelsea. And then I'd be wildcard 35. So I would be taking another goalkeeper here. Probably one that doubles. It probably would be Nick Pope that I'd have a look at. Yeah. Did I sell Isak to Haaland? Yes, I did. I did Isak, Watkins, Trent to Williams, Haaland, Evanilson were the 3 moves I made. Should I captain Chris Wood or Haaland when I'm chasing? Haaland, probably. He'll probably have lower ownership. Why are you keeping Palmer? Do I think he'll still be on pens? Absolutely. Categorically. I can't see a world in which he comes off pens. Ideal, I downgrade Palmer and get Haaland. I don't love the Marmoush pick. Even if we get confirmation that Marmoush starts today, I just don't think you're going to know with enough confidence going into game week 30 as well. So why is everyone selling Isak? He doubles and plays Leicester soon. So a lot of people will wildcard in game week 31. So you can buy back Alexander Isak when that comes around. And then you can, or I'm just going to buy him back for Haaland in game week 31 when he plays Leicester. Aït-Nouri and Alanga or Williams and Kluivert. Definitely Williams and Kluivert. Absolutely. Kluivert is one of the best options to own for the next 2 weeks, I think. Start Pickford or Fleck in this game week. Pickford out of the 2. We haven't spoken that much about goalkeepers this week. I feel like everyone's just got one and is just going with whatever they've got. Yeah, that's where a lot of people are, I think. Play 10 with keeper or free hit. 10 was fine. Don't free hit for a keeper this week. The clean sheet odds from Rob T FPL are really low. No team has above a 36% chance of a clean sheet this week. So no, I don't think it's worth it. Chip strategy we will leave until we get closer, until we get the FA Cup results out of the way, basically now. Yeah, we might play something in 30 or 31. We will definitely play something in at least 31. Otherwise, I'll run out of time to play it. But it will depend on the FA Cup results about what chip it is. It could be assistant manager or wildcard. Such good work. You're going Palmer and Isak to Bruno and Haaland with 10.4 in the bank. Would I get for Trent and either Rodgers, Sarr, Milenkovic, and either Rodgers or Sarr? Milenkovic and Alanga or Williams and Semenyo? I'd go Semenyo. Williams and Semenyo personally, because of the fixture in 30 as well. Ipswich at home is really good for Bournemouth. That's why Bournemouth are so appealing this week. Yeah. Matthew, Vandenberg to Gvardiol or Dango to Bruno Kluivert. I'd probably, if I'm honest, I'd do both and I'd do it for a -4, Matthew. I'd do Dango to Kluivert and I'd sell Vandenberg for a hit. I'd prioritise the Dango to Kluivert move though. Double Forest or Aït-Nouri, I'd go double Forest, I think. Is tripling on Bournemouth good? Yes, next 2 fixtures are good, particularly from a goal scoring point of view. Is Savinho overlooked? I don't mind him as a punt. I just those City wingers, their output has never been good. Since they lost Mahrez, I don't remember a City winger that's output has been good. Now, maybe you could include Foden because he did play a lot of minutes on the wing, but generally not massively. Aït-Nouri or Kirkes? Kirkes definitely. He's top of my defenders to buy, which is in the top left right now. We also will have top midfielders, top forwards, and top goalkeepers if you're looking to buy this week. Ranked from 1 to 5. They're all in the top right-hand corner now. So again, a few questions on Semenyo versus Alanga versus Hudson-Odoi. Semenyo's top, then it's Alanga, then Hudson-Odoi in that order, as much as I like him. Savinho's 0.57 XGI per 90. Good cash this week. Yeah, he could. I don't hate it as a punt. I'd personally go for a Semenyo over it, but I don't mind the Savinho punt. -12 or free hit if not wildcard. If you've got no wildcard left, then I'd -12. I don't know what the -12 is, but if the issue is with the free hit this week, if you're free hitting because you own Cunha, you own Trent, you own Lewis Hall. Free hitting doesn't fix those problems, and you'll just go into game week 30 with exactly the same problems. You'll just have them again, and you'll have to take hits to sell them. So the free hit doesn't fix that. But if you've got like Isak, you've got Mateta, you've got Salah, you've got Rodgers, and you've got like Henderson in goal, then the free hit is better because you want those players on the other side. So when you're deciding on if to free hit, you've only got 29 minutes to do it. It kind of depends on who the players are. Do you want the players that you're taking out on the free hit next week? If the answer is yes, then the free hit's okay. If the answer is no, then the free hit doesn't work. Bruno will give 20 points today. He's also the last game of the game week. So I do wish I could own Bruno. If I was on free hit, I would definitely own Bruno. I would expect a free hit team to outscore my team. I would basically own Bruno over Greaves if I was on free hit. It's about the only change I do. It's not that different though. Probably wouldn't have Palmer. But and Burma will sell after this week? Potentially, yes. People will look to sell him. If you're wildcard 31, you probably won't bother and you'll just sell him on wildcard. But yeah, I did consider a route of selling him this week to try and afford it, but it didn't quite work. There is drilling outside my house. I hope you can't hear it. Best I keep talking then. Leeds are 2-0 down. Wow. They love to do this at this point of the season. Interesting to see if it's a blip or not. 8-0 Kirk we did. Watkins, Haaland and Burbo Dibbling. Van Dijk, Agbadu, Watkins, Evan Nilsson, Dango, Kluivert, Vandenberg, Milenkovic. That's a lot of transfers. That's like, if you can do them all, then yes, I don't mind them. I don't love Dibbling, but he's 4.4. I hope you can't hear it, but there's not much I can do about it. Your captain, Trossard. I don't understand why some things love Trossard. You thought there was a mosquito. I'll just keep talking and then it'll be fine. Haaland for a hit if you're captaining Salah 30. If you're captain Haaland this week, then I think it's fine. Again, it depends who you're selling, but if you're going to captain him this week, I think it's okay. If you're not going to captain him this week or next week, then no. Would I put the blanking players into the starting 11? I'm not sure I can. I'm not sure I want the aggro. Any team leaks yet? No, nothing. We are just 25 minutes away from the deadline though, so we will be keeping an eye out on anything. This is about when we started to hear a little bit of stuff. Ooh. As I say it, the same people that broke Marmoush being benched last week are saying that he is going to start this week. So he's probably an okay buy, but I still would have doubts that he definitely starts 30 after an FA Cup game on the Sunday. That's the only thing. But it means he's an okay buy this week. Have I played the assistant manager chip yet? No, I'm going to play it in either 30, 31 or 36, I think. Starts in place of who? I mean, I imagine it might be Foden, but I'm guessing. Wasn't it Foden who started over him last week and then they swapped it back? Let's wait and see. Let's hope it's not up front. Let's hope it's not up front. Oh, dear. I have a plan. If it was Haaland that got benched, I'd just sell Ahmad and probably bench Greaves and just keep Haaland and captain Chris Wood. That's what I'd do. I'd do Ahmad to someone, maybe Elanga. Bench Greaves and captain Chris Wood would probably be what I would do. Trent, Rodgers, Isaac, Palmer for Milenkovic, Bruno, Semenyo, Haaland for a -4. Probably, but just wait till the deadline to make sure you get any early team news you might want. I don't know why I'm now nervous because they've played so many games together. They play together. Like, they're not like for like in their positions. They start together. So it should be fine. Triple captain used. You have a full squad today. No chip strategy. Chip strategy will do more once the FA Cup weekend is out of the way. Replace Rodgers to a 6 million mid from -4. I'd go Semenyo. I do Rodgers to Semenyo for -4 because of the fixture next week as well. -4 will play 10. I probably would do the -4 depending on who it's buying. If it's buying a midfielder or attacker, then yeah, I probably would take the hit. 5 at the back, 3 transfers, and keep Saar. I don't mind a 5 at the back. You might not get a green arrow this week, but you've got to think about your long-term strategy a little bit rather than just piling in to players this week. Can they please stop drilling outside? No. Triple captain used. Yeah. Chip strategy will leave until after the FA Cup, probably. Palmer, Isaac, Cunha, Trent to Haaland, Bruno, Evanilson, Gavardio for -4. Or Palmer, Cunha, Trent to Haaland, Elanga, Kirko, if not sure when I'm wildcarding. Palmer, Cunha, Trent. I wouldn't, if you're not sure when you're wildcarding, I wouldn't buy Bruno. Because I don't think he fits the long-term structure particularly. Yeah, if you're not sure when you're wildcarding, I wouldn't buy Bruno. Kluivert or Bruno, I'd go Kluivert. Best for the next 2 games. Why Haaland over Chris Woods? It was really annoying, but there's little I can do. If I'm buying Haaland, I'm not certain I'm going to captain him next week. So, and he's at home. Sell at Vandenberg to 8 Nori from -4. If you'd start 8 Nori in game week 30, yes. If it's just for this week alone, probably not. I keep muting and unmuting myself so that you can't hear the grinding. When I talk, I unmute myself, so hopefully it's okay. Palmer to Hudson-Odoi for a hit, definitely not. Ahmad to Elanga to play 11, yes. City news. City news is that we think Marmoush starts. That's all we've got so far, but there's still 20 minutes to go to the deadline. Go and shout at him. That would be good for the content, wouldn't it? Isaac to Chris Wood or play Dango for free. In Isaac, I wouldn't. I think I'd just play Dango for free. João Pedro to Evan Nilsson for a hit. I probably would. I'd probably take the chance on it over the next couple of weeks, yeah. Hit for a keeper or play 10. If your keeper's Henderson, Fabianski, I probably wouldn't take the hit. I probably wouldn't. Haaland and Semenyo for -4 or get Wood and keep Palmer. I think I'd rather just go get Chris Wood in that situation. Any City news? Not Evan Nilsson. Marmouche looks set to be starting. Son or Mbeumo. Mbeumo over Son. I don't think we have enough confirmation that Spurs couldn't. I'm just not going to massively rotate, which would be a bit of a concern if you went with Son. And yeah. Alex, let me have a look. Yeah, I would go Chris Wood and keep Palmer, Alex. Murillo over Williams worth the 0.3? Probably, but I needed it because I might play the assistant. I might play the assistant manager next week. I don't think there's massively in it. I'd rather go Milenkovic. If I had my choice of Forest defenders, Milenkovic is where I'd go. Oh, the drilling stopped. It's more like giving me a headache than anything. Take Palmer out for Haaland for a -4. If it's Isak out, no. If it's like Cunha out, then yes. Bruno or Nottingham Forest midfielder. If you're going to wildcard 31, I probably would go Bruno. I think he's good enough this week. Play Dango or Castagna. I'd play Dango and take the chance on it. I don't think he'll start, but I think I'd still prefer him off the bench than Castagna. Kepa or Pickford this week. This week alone, probably Pickford. Any news on Foden? No, nothing yet. No. The Marmouche starting doesn't feel great for Foden, if I'm honest. Doesn't feel great. I feel like last week when he started, it was Marmouche dropping out and Foden was the one who came back in. Was that who they subbed on for? Let me take a look. Did they make that sub last week? Was it Marmouche on for Foden? Because it feels like they only have space for one of them in their lineup. Sort of. Savinho, Marmouche, Foden, De Bruyne were 2 subs at the same time, but Foden for Marmouche was sort of the same time. It doesn't feel great for Foden. But going by those substitutions, Savinho or Foden are likely not to start. But one of them probably doesn't start. It could be Savinho on the left and then it's Doku, but yeah. It looks like Marmouche is starting, yes. Yes. Is Foden a sell if he's benched? Yes, I would. If Foden's benched, then you can do Foden to Bruno. I would do Foden to Bruno without even hesitating. Why didn't I transfer Palmer to Bruno? Because I think he is better this week. Like, I'd much rather Bruno than Palmer this week. And if I was for a free hit, I would definitely go Bruno over Palmer. But I wouldn't next week want to have done that transfer. I don't think it's worth a transfer and what I'd rather have next week. Thank you very much. Aman, I appreciate it. Why not Mitoma? I actually think it'll be a good game between them today, but I mean, away at City, I'd rather punt on someone else. And if you're going to wildcard 31, I just think the fixtures for the next 2, you don't have City. You don't have Brighton as the top fixtures. Minetsi punt. Yes, he should start. He should start for Wolves today. Evan Nilsson to João Pedro for -4. I've got Isak and Chris Wood. I probably would take the chance that Evan Nilsson outscores João Pedro by 4 over the next 2 games. I probably would, yeah. What about Marmoush? Yeah, it sounds like he's going to start. Haaland, we don't have any other team news apart from Marmoush at the moment. We've still got 14 minutes to go to the deadline. My team is pretty locked in apart from if we heard something negative on Haaland. We don't have anything on the City lineup apart from Marmoush. Basically. How much do I have in the bank? Exactly 0.8, which is why I did the transfers that I did, because it also leaves me money to hopefully, to consider playing the assistant manager next week. I've got, I was going to go Kirkes over Williams or Milenkovic, but I realised if I go Williams, it leaves me the money to potentially play the assistant manager. Captaincy ranking, I have Fernandes above Chris Wood. Haaland, Bruno, Chris Wood, Kluivert, and then basically any differentials. I've gone with Jimenez, but it could be anyone. Gibbs White or Elanga. Gibbs White if money's no object, but if money is an impact on you, then I would just go with Elanga. Best midfielder 6.6 or below. Kluivert, Semenyo. Who to bring in? Howson, Mazraoui, or Mikalenko? I'd probably go with a Forest defender over any of them, if I'm honest. Any changes to my free hit? Probably not. You could punt Marmoush if you wanted to, but I think I'd stick with something that looks like this. I don't love like the Boomo Gibbs White pick, but these two are the ones that I look at that I'm not 100% certain on, but I would be doing something that looks like that. No more leaks at the moment. No, I am keeping an eye out. Sorry, that's why I'm looking down. The only thing we've got is Marmoush at the moment. Start Castagna or Dango. I'd start Dango. Elanga for 3 or -4 for Bruno. I'd probably just go Elanga. I don't know what the other transfer is, but no. Someone is working construction. Yeah, Captain Marmoush. I don't think I'd do that unless we got an update. Because if Marmoush is playing, but he's in the 10, which is what we expect, then that's fine. But if we get news and he's up front, then it's different. But we don't expect him to be up front. Wissa, Rogers, Palmer, and Trent out for free to Haaland. What was that? To Haaland, Semenyo, Elanga, Kirkes. Yes, I quite like those moves. Surely Salah, Munoz, and Ahmad start for you. Yeah, I probably should do that now. Who else do I bench? Palmer. Would I still go Haaland knowing Marmoush starts? Yes, because they tend to play together. Bench your captain. I wish. Nothing more on City team news as of yet. They did leave it really late last time, though. Player 5-2-3. Would I bench Howson or Robinson? I'd probably play Robinson because he's better going forward as well. Evan Nilsson for a -4. If it's to add an extra player, then yes. Hudson-Odoi or Bellegarde, I'd probably go Hudson-Odoi. Mikalenko or Robinson, don't own Pickford, probably then Mikalenko. It's close though. Haaland or Marmoush. Haaland if you can get to it, but do just wait a bit close to the deadline in case we get any news. Yeah. Start Dango or Aït-Nouri. I'd start Aït-Nouri over Dango. Yeah. Sarr in for Fabianski. If you need a goalkeeper, yes. If you need a goalkeeper, yeah. I've got Rodgers to Alanga. Yes, I would do. I probably would sell Rodgers. I like Alanga. I like Semenyo. I like Cliver in and around that price. If you have the money, I like Bruno Fernandes, of course. Start Gabriel or Mikalenko. You already have Raya. Gabriel, though. Gabriel. Clive at Evanilson, Haaland for a -8. I don't know who you're taking out. If it's adding extra fixtures, then maybe, but I don't love -8s this week. But they're adding 3 of the best players this week, Viva. So if you're selling like Trent, Watkins, Rodgers, that sort of, then yes. Still nothing. 8 minutes to go to the deadline. So Mbeumo or Gibbs White. I'd probably buy Gibbs White over Mbeumo this week. Fabianski or Kepa to play. Kepa. Why am I benching Palmer? I'll get the auto subs. I don't really know if I can just deal with the aggro. I just put them back in. We'll start Ahmad just for the person on Twitter who doesn't like me. Evan Nilsson for Cunha, meaning a -8. If it gives you an extra player out, yes. We have 4 minutes to go to the deadline. Best 3 defenders for a free hit. I'd probably go Gvardiol, a Forest defender, and Kirkes probably, if I was on free hit. Why not Hudson-Odoi over Alanga? I just prefer Alanga because he's on set pieces. Imagine the scenes if Haaland doesn't start. I know. What's the news on Marmoush that apparently he's starting? It probably means one of Foden and Savinho doesn't start. I imagine it's Foden because that's who they were subbed on for in the last game. But yeah, we don't have the news on them yet. We also don't have any news on Rico Lewis. I've seen a few people asking about him as well. Do I sell Eze? Probably yes. Doesn't play this week, and I think you can go without him in 30. I'm not sure he's better than Sarr. Do I not like Bellegarde as a one-week punt, and if so, why? I don't mind him. They just have a lot of players in those positions. I do expect him to start, but it's not guaranteed. It might be Doku. It could be Doku who's out, although Pep seems to have this thing with Doku that he just absolutely loves him, and I don't really get it. Start Howson or Robinson? I'd start Robinson. I'd start Robinson over Howson, particularly if you've got double attack. Ooh. Tony says that Savio does start. Savio starts. Surely that means there's no Foden, right? Surely. I wouldn't be having Foden, I don't think, with that. It could be, it's Foden or Doku. One of them's not going to be... No, but De Bruyne was never in it because it will be whoever that defender is. And then, what? 5 attackers in front of that. I mean, yeah. They subbed off for each other. It feels like only one of the two. Yup. Right. I think my team's fine for this week. I'm pretty happy to leave it. Unless we hear something on Haaland before the deadline. Marmoush and Haaland play together. Seems when Haaland is benched. I mean, Haaland doesn't just get benched, does he? It doesn't happen. Start Castagna or Greaves. Castagna or Greaves. Probably Castagna. Marmoush or Evan-Nilsson? Evan-Nilsson. Savinho starts. It could be worth a punt. Yes. Yeah, he did get a knock, actually, against Liverpool. He didn't play. Savinho could be worth a punt now. Captain Wood or Bruno. Bruno. Hits for Haaland. I don't love it that much, to be honest. If it's selling Isak, I wouldn't sell Isak Palmer to Haaland for a -4. I don't think I'd sell Isak Haaland to Palmer for a -4. People saying Foden on the bench. I think that's probably it. Captain Wood, bit risky with Haaland. All the best. Marmoush is not direct competition for Haaland, I don't think. But I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. My team is going to be locked in. We're into the final minute before the deadline. Please go and check your teams. Go and make sure that everything is locked in. You have 1 minute to go to the deadline. Everyone with Haaland news in the chat, I'll go back through and see who was lying and who was telling the truth. Leave it go and check your teams. Go and lock it all in. My team is locked in. I am captaining Haaland. That was always the plan if I bought him. And Marmoush starting doesn't put me off. So we're going to leave it like this. Go and check your teams. That will be the deadline. I would I sell Foden? If you can do Foden to Bruno, I would do it. Yeah, I would. Harwood or Dibbling, or play both and sub out Greaves. I'd probably play Dibbling and play Greaves. That is going to be that. The game is probably updating. That is the game updating. Foden and De Bruyne bench. That's my That's what my thought is. Game is updating. Everything is locked in. This is how the team went. Bear with me as I just go and tweet my team. Right. Foden and De Bruyne on the bench. That's what I think will happen. Because if Marmoush starts, I think it's Marmoush or Foden. I don't think he picks both. Right. FPL Gameweek 20. GW29 team. Locked in. And let me just go and grab the transfers I did from the other tweet. One second. There we go. There we go. There we go. FPL challenge. Yes, we will do. I do need to go and leave because I've got to go to the station and get a train. But we can do fancy challenge very quickly. Cool. Right. Let's do our fancy challenge team. Here we go. No, Chelsea are away, so I'm not watching it. Right, 7 aside, unlimited budget team this week. Okay. My team was this for the week. It was as it was at the start of the stream. Chris Wood, probably Haaland. I'm going to punt on Jimenez over Evan Nilsson. I'm going to go Kluivert. Actually, what am I going to do? I'm going to play a 2-2-2 and I'm going to take out Haaland. Wood, I'm going to go Bruno Fernandes. In defense, I'm going to go put Ahmad in it. Funny. I'm going to go Kirkes and I'm going to go Sells. Probably going to cap Bruno as well. There we go. Team news, anyone? Marmoush? Yeah, Marmoush apparently starts. Sorry. Kluivert, captain good. He was my 4th ranked one this week. Why Jimenez over Chris Wood? It's just my fantasy challenge team. I like to take a bit of a punt on some players, particularly ones who are not in my FPL team. Yeah. We had 10 minutes to go to City team news, but I can't really wait. I've got to go and catch a train, and I do not want to miss it. So I'm probably going to head off and leave the stream there. We've got... That was really hot. We have got 2 weeks now until game week 30 and the FA Cup. So we will have a bit of a break from videos over the next couple of weeks. I'll probably do one on Monday morning to have a bit of a chat, but we will probably then have a little bit of a hiatus until game week, until the FA Cup is out of the way. Jamie, I do apologise. If you want to drop me a DM, I'm happy to sort it for you. Interested to know what you did, Jamie. Alanga or Hudson-Odoi, I would have gone Alanga. When to play the triple captain, either 32 or maybe 36, depending on what other chips you've got left. But yes, we're going to leave it there. We're going to wrap it up. I need to go and get the station. Anyway, no captain and vice, not many players. Yikes, Ryan. Interested, let me know what it looks like after the deadline. Anyway, we're going to wrap up the stream there. We'll be back on Monday with a video, and then probably not for a while because of the FA Cup and international break and stuff like that. So enjoy your last weekend of Premier League for 2.5 weeks, well, 3 weeks until the next weekend of it, 2.5 weeks until it comes back again. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. And yeah, I will see you all very soon. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.